Now that you have the image you want to trace in your document, you're going to want to make sure that it's light enough to trace over easily and that it's layered so that you won't mess with it when you don't mean to. The first thing you need to do is select your image. Make sure it's selected with the blue bounding box. Then you're going to increase its transparency. Over here in your toolbar, the two overlapping circles are the transparency. If you turn down the opacity of your drawing, it will get lighter and make it easier to trace over. Our skull's already gray, but in case you're using a picture that isn't quite as light as our skull was, this is very useful to make it more traceable, just like putting a picture underneath a piece of tracing paper. You can close your transparency and change it to one that seems to be right for you. Then you want to make sure that you don't accidentally move this original image around while you're tracing it. And you'll do that by manipulating the layers of your illustration. Over here at the bottom of this toolbar, the two overlapping rectangles are your layers. Right now we just have one layer with the little skull on it. Double-click on the name of the layer and rename it. Probably a good name for this would be Drawing Guide. Go ahead and press OK. Notice the name of the layer has been changed. You can see the layer because there's a little eyeball on it, and it's a good idea to lock the layer, which prevents it from being edited or changed, just as if you taped it to the desk under your tracing paper. Now we do need a layer that we can actually draw on to do our tracing, and for that we'll go down to the bottom of the Layers box and click Create New Layer. Again, let's rename this. This layer could be called our Trace layer, since that's where we're actually going to do the tracing. We don't want it locked because we're going to be working on this layer. It's always good to check in and make sure that you're on the correct layer and that layers aren't locked or invisible when you don't need them to be. The last thing we should do now to make sure we preserve what we've done so far is go to File and save our work. However, be sure to put your file someplace where you can find it in the future. Right now I'm in my Downloads folder, but I would like this to go into my Pictures folder. Save it again with your full name and a description of the project as an Illustrator file, and save. If you get a pop-up box of options, you can simply click OK.